And you're doing a hard job that literally, if you've lived in Riverside as long as I have, you know that the police department wasn't quite as friendly as our new friends. So please make a ton of noise and make him feel like a rock star right now.
Thank you. Good evening. If I haven't met you, my name is Chad Collopy. I'm new area commander for the North End, your guys' neighborhood and everything like that. Started in the beginning of the new year. So just a couple quick things. Updated reference our department. Our staffing levels are getting better. Last year we hired over 75 new cops. It's unheard of. We've never done 75 probably in 2 years, let alone we did 1 year. We have a group of kids in the academy now that are going to graduate very soon, and then another one in the springtime. So staffing levels are getting up, which is giving the chief the opportunity to move those officers when they get off training into other assignments, such as our public safety engagement team, the traffic division. We all know traffic's an issue, detective bureaus, and so forth like that. So our staffing is getting up. It's allowing us to do more things, be more proactive, and engage with everybody a little bit more. So that's a very good thing. I know I've received a number of complaints from all over this area, reference to traffic. I know Redwood, and I think it was Pine, and not the whole area about traffic issues in that. Motors went out there. Unfortunately, I'd love to have the motors down here every day at all times, but unfortunately I have to share the wealth with the rest of the city. Our numbers are down for traffic, but they have been doing patrols here. They were out there doing directed enforcement a couple weeks ago, and of course a handful of citations and stops and everything they did like you would expect to. So, but I'm trying to keep pushing them to keep coming out here and keep doing directed enforcement and that nature. I also have received, there's a number of inquiries that's probably been going on for the last probably at least 5 months or so. Pine Center referenced the biker club that was there. There was a number of complaints, referenced noise complaints, traffic, you name it. Worked with code enforcement a lot with that in the planning department. I spoke to the code enforcement earlier this week, and I guess working with the property manager and the club, I guess they've decided to leave the area and move. So I don't know if they've officially vacated the building, but I know that was a concern for a lot of the residents in the wood streets and around Bondominio Park and that. But that issue should be resolved and everything. We've had a number of events, as you've seen, through the city. We just had Truckapalooza downtown, huge hit. We've been asked, they've already set up a date for next year. They want more and more and more, which is a good thing. The Dickens Festival, a number of other festivals going on. Show and Go, that's coming up around May 3rd or 4th, I believe it is. And then obviously, which you guys all have an interest in, the 4th of July, there's preparations being made. Park and Recs is taking the lead, reference the 4th of July event out here at Mount Rubidoux and around the surrounding neighborhoods and everything like that. So we're working very closely with the city and all the other fire departments and so forth like that, and getting that set up and everything. One other thing you guys have seen since the last time we've been here, obviously there's been some changes back east with different federal policies and that, and so you've probably seen a number of demonstrations nationwide, but they've been here in the city also. Of course, most of them being focused on the downtown area. They've all been peaceful. We've spoken to a number of the promoters in that. We encourage them to express their freedom of speech in that, just safety in mind. A couple of them have had like walks up Mount Rubidoux, had like a little get together at Bondominio Park and then walk up to Mount Rubidoux and everything like that. But as there's probably been 20 or 30 citywide. There's been a couple down towards the Tyler Mall and everything, but we've had no major incidents where the police have really had to get involved to any degree or anything like that. So other than that, there wasn't nothing major incidents. I'm in contacts with Community Hospital with their staff. They're supposed to be doing some construction for a new parking structure in that, so traffic will probably become an issue when they start doing demoing in that, so we're working with them, keeping that in mind and everything. And then I know someone was talking about the 3-1 app and the graffiti in that. I encourage everybody to use that plug. Please use the app or call in if you can. The app, you can take photos and everything like that, but it helps for tracking. So when there is a complaint, it goes through the database, it gives it a tracking number, and then it gets filtered to the right department or personnel that it's supposed to be to. So sometimes I get complaints and sometimes it's duplicates and that, but if it goes through 311, it shoots it right off to whoever it may be and gets maybe a little bit more timely response, but there's also a tracking number that you get, so you could do follow-up on it if need be and everything like that. So it's a great tool. I use it. I know a bunch of people use it, but it's a good plug. I want to make sure and encourage everybody to do it. or you can just call 311 and you can report it that way also. So, with that, any questions or anything I can answer?
I have questions, public safety, but maybe be more directed towards Councilmember Falcones. About 6-7 years ago, we had a consultant come into the city and say, we had F-level roads, like the worst, right? I think we were below Gaza Strip and Ukraine, and maybe just above Afghanistan at the time, right? Now, I know we put a fair amount of money, and Measure Z was supposed to be to fix the roads. Do we have a long-term master plan? Because I drive down like University, like north of Brockton, whatever. It's really bad. It's like nothing but potholes for building pieces. We have a long-term plan as to when we can attain a C level, a B level, A level. I don't know if that's achievable. Do we have a master plan for how we're going to get our roads back in sufficient categories? Yeah.
Thank you. This was my main talking point during the campaign. So we're at a 58. We're at a 58 in terms of road scale of 0 to 100. 0 being the worst, 100 being the best. We're at 58. Or we were. I think we're now at like 60. Woo, you know, but still. So what it would in no city, you usually are not at like 100. There's really no one at 100. But even if we could get to 80, oh my gosh, imagine how we would feel that to go from a 60 to an 80. So it would take, to get to that point in 4 years, it would take an additional $10 million per year, what we're currently spending to get to that threshold. Right now we're spending $51 million a year on road repaving. That's the most every year we spend. They say this year is the most we've ever spent, and we go to next year's budget. This year is the most we've ever spent. So it is on the uptick, but it's not enough to get to that threshold within 4 years. Now we do have our online road repaving map that shows what is planned to be, what was recently repaved, what is currently being repaved, what is planned to be repaved. So that kind of is our literal map for what's coming. But at this point, probably to get at our current rate, to get to 80, let's say where we're at now, you're probably looking at 10 to 15 years to get to that point. But what we have to do simultaneously, which I do get some emails or frustration about this, why are you repaving this road? It's in fine condition, but this road is falling apart. Well, there's a difference between preservation and repaving. You go in, like maybe Larchwood gets a slurry seal, for example, when it wasn't that bad, but that slurry seal preserves it longer than if you were to let it fall all the way to as bad as University Avenue is. It needs more money invested in it to have it repaved. So we do both simultaneously. I will tell you, I have a top 5 that I'm going to beg Public Works for this coming fiscal year, and University Avenue is one of them. I can give them a list of 50, but if I only had 5 universities, one of them there through the whole downtown is where that one is. But I'm always trying to, and you've seen me at Council, Jason, I'm always trying to wheel and deal to get money, even if it's 100,000 here, 100,000 there, from other things to go to Public Works. I don't know, my colleagues don't always agree with me or vote in favor of that. One, I was trying to get an extra $2 million and lost that vote. I tried, but couldn't get the colleagues to care enough about it. So keep sending emails to the city council about roads. You can send them to me, but it would be helpful to send them to everybody because you already got me. You already got a yes vote from me. It's getting other people to vote yes as well, which is always the kicker.
And I do appreciate the roads do look a lot better than they did 4 or 5 years ago. I mean, they were really bad.
But it's just not getting to, I totally recognize that's not going to the rate of how fast we want them done. I recognize that.
Anybody else have any questions?
So recently there was a big drug bust on Bandini. Was
Yes.
that was at a sober living house?
Yes.
Okay. And now there's a brand new sober living house opening within a block or two on Bandini. And I have actually a friend of mine called me because she lives across the street. And she said the same guys that used to ride their bikes to the other Bandini house are now riding their bikes to this house. Okay. It's between Brockton and Palm, the big house with the big piece of property. So I guess it's like a 5-bedroom, 4-bath. So my question though is, are you given the information that these houses are sober living houses? Do you know where all the sober living houses are in Riverside?
I personally don't. Do they inform the police department in certain divisions of everything? At times they do, but times like this, if this is a new one that's just in the process of opening or creating, they may not have informed us or anything like that. So that's where it's important. You letting us know, now I can go look into it, research it, and see what activities are going on.
The man that is running it, he has a website, and he said this is his 3rd house. He has one on Victoria overlooking the golf course. He has one on 4th Street in a historical house. And he says, and now we're opening up one in the Wood Streets.
Yeah, let me
So-
get with you because I want that information.
Yeah, it's, but she said she already saw the little bike rider ride up,
Okay.
stay there for half an hour and leave.
Okay,
So,
let me get you after you.
We got time for about 2 more questions.
Else?
Come on, we got him here.
No
You gotta
worries.
ask him.
No worries. I'll be here for a little bit, so if anybody has anything, feel free to pull me aside, and thank you again.
I got something for Chad, I'm sorry.
Oh,
I mean,
man.
it's something else, I think educational, so, because we had this conversation before, because I get, people always say, we should set a motor cop at this intersection, because the cops will make tons of money giving tickets all day long. Explain to them what you explained to me about if we get rich off of giving tickets to people.
We get a very, very small percentage. So the best example I have is I came from the vice unit, and during the downtime, nighttime areas, we would go and patrol for people drinking in public, open cans of beers, so whatever it may be, parks, parking lots, parking structures, and we would cite them for the Riverside Municipal Code. Not state codes, not just Riverside Municipal Codes. We would go to court, and the fine, if they were found guilty, was like in excess of like $1,000 for an open container. We then found out, just for informational purposes, is that we get a small percentage of, a good chunk goes to the county for the processing and whatever stuff may come with it, and then also the state gets it from there too, because they also are in the processing of that. So in the end, tickets, when we get, there's fines and they're paid in that, it's a very small percentage of what we actually get. We're not getting 100%, or anything like that. It's more, and we never do citations to make money. It's all to correct someone's behavior. For example, our traffic division's got a lot more into statistics, see what intersections have the most car accidents and violations of that nature. So they focus their main attentions on that, because that's the biggest thing that prevents people from driving crazy and doing these violations that cause these accidents. So they focus on those locations. And then when I turn in tips of Redwood and Pine or Rockland University, wherever it is, then they go focus on those areas too. So, yes.
That triggered a question, or a comment, I don't know, that the red light running is insane.
oh yeah.
And
It's
again,
coming back.
I walk my dogs at night, I will continue to say that, and there is not a night where I don't think we would be killed. If by somebody running, right by Magnolia School, going across Magnolia up to Briscoe, like that,
Yes.
it is, they never see the light. Like,
And it's fortunately, it's not just that, it's all over the city, it's all everywhere.
Like, it's crazy. If you don't look both ways, you are going to get broadsided. I don't know, it's more of a comment, it's just, I was a little disappointed the other day because there was a RPD next to me and somebody ran a red and I was like, and they ignored it. And so, I don't know, maybe if just more enforcement would discourage people from running the reds,
It-
but.
We totally agree, and sometimes officers won't do enforcement on that because they might be going to a call. There's a whole bunch of scenarios, but
Totally understand.
like I have nephews that just turned 16, got their driver's license, and it scares me to death, and I tell them,
Yeah.
hey, the light turns green, count 1, 2, 3, then you can go. I go, you can't rely on the lights, the light's not gonna save you.
Yeah.
Riverside
So-
Avenue and Haruka.
But yes,
Oh, that's awful.
but yes, the traffic division is a major thing that Chief Gonzalez is focusing on, and with the new bodies we're getting, they're starting to push them out into the
That
traffic
would be a
division.
huge
So-
area to focus on.
Yes,
Yeah.
so, anybody else? Yes?
Hi, so, about a week ago, probably about 5 days ago, there was a incident regarding the SWAT team that was here in a helicopter flyover by the cemetery and Del Taco, kind of near Community Hospital. So probably about, what almost felt like a few hours, 5 hours, that chopper was orbiting what was going on, I'm guessing a chase that ended up inside of a house, a man barricaded inside the house, and the SWAT team was called. Everybody on next door, everybody in this town, the neighborhood was pretty much asking, why is there a helicopter buzzing over for 5 hours in that area? So I guess my question was, compared to the fact that you guys use drones for specific stuff like that, how long do you keep a bird like that up in the air for that reaction time if somebody's held up, compared to just like, I don't know, they're there and how much fuel they're using? Like, is that just kind of like a thing that's gonna last
Am I in your way?
at any moment? Is something like that happen again, or?
It's a case by case with the air unit, how they use them. Obviously, if it's like a barricade situation like we just talked about, and the SWAT team's there, it's the highest sensitive, critical incident we're gonna handle. I can't disclose too much about that incident, but the reason they use the air unit a lot of times is they want, maybe the vision is obstructed in that, and they wanna see that. It may be, it could be anything from where they got tips of, hey, this person might be in this yard or the neighboring yard, and so the reason is to keep them up. They're in a safe location generally, and they can see a lot of, and then they also help direct us and give us information that we may not have. Drones are good in sense too, but it depends. Not all officers have drones or trained for that, because the training to have a license for a drone, from my understanding, is pretty complex too. So, but that's the reason why the air unit is, and why they're up so long. That's up to the supervision of the watch commander to determine how long they'll keep them up and everything of that nature. So, yep.
Everybody, let's make some noise for our fine police department, our flight speakers tonight.